Hi everyone, it's me, Miss Annika, back with another STEM kit. And today for our STEM kit, we're going to ask a really big question, which is, why does the moon have craters on it? Craters are very large holes in the ground that are made when an object, like a rock, but from outer space, so an asteroid or a comet or a meteor, come and hit the surface of a planet or a moon. You can see a lot of moon craters even with just your eyes when the moon is out, and those would probably be the darker spots on the moon. What we're going to ask today is, how did those craters get there? And so our STEM kit today is all about making an experiment that shows us what would happen and how a crater is formed. So let's open up our kits, see what we'll have. All right, so we're going to have a mixture of flour and oil that we're going to make into our moon surface. And this mixture is called cloud dough, but for today we're going to call it moon dough. And then we'll also have some different rocks that we're going to use as our asteroids and meteors, and we're going to drop them into our dough. So to start with, we'll take our flour and our oil to make a dough. You can use any oil that you have, cooking oil or baby oil, something similar. I happen to have canola oil and I tried that, so it works out really well, but you can also use other kinds of oil. Olive oil might be a little bit more greasy, and it would just change the texture of your dough, and that's okay. But with my canola oil, I already made, so that I didn't make a mess everywhere while filming this video, some moon dough, and it looks like the surface of the moon. And if you grab and pinch your dough, it should kind of stick together, be soft, but also crumble very easily. And so once you're finished mixing your dough together with your hands, you're going to take it in a flat dish or a bowl like the one that I have here. You see it's very shallow, and just spread it around, but don't make it, soft like this, because that's not what we're looking for with the surface of our moon. We're going to look for something a little more rough with some nice moon rocks in it. And just have it be sort of a flat surface so that it won't really matter where the rocks land. And then one by one, we're just going to grab our rocks and take them and maybe lift about, high above your head so that it drops right into your dough. So I'm going to have the camera point down and I'm going to lift up and drop a rock in and we'll see what happens. All right, so this is my first rock and I'm just going to lift it up and drop. And then when we remove it, let's see if we can see. Right here, there's an indent where my rock landed. And that's basically what a moon crater would be. So right around here. And so we can keep doing that this whole time and see the different indents that we make with our different sized rocks. So I have a small rock and the large one that I used and a little bit of a medium sized rock. And so just so that we can see it on the camera, I also have a giant rock. And so let's drop the giant rock and see what happens. So I'm just going to smooth out where that crater formed. Take my giant rock, hold it up, and drop. And again, we can see that hole right there is from my rock. And we'll just do it one more time, just to see if we can get the same crater twice maybe, since it's the same rock. I dropped on the same spot, but the same thing happened. And so, nice deep crater right around here. And so you can keep doing that. And one of the things that you can do to make the experiment more fun and bigger is to try all different rocks. Maybe sit down like I am and drop rocks from above your head. Put this on the floor and drop rocks from standing and just see what happens. Does the same size rock make the same crater every single time like we tried with this one? Do smaller rocks make smaller craters? Does it make a difference how far you drop it from? If you drop it from really close, does it make the same sort of crater in in the Mundo that we're using that it would if you dropped it from way up high. And that also can show you why the moon has different sized craters. Not every crater is the same, and since not every rock is the same, not every crater is going to be the same, and they only drop once. And so the other thing is that the science behind this and why the moon has more craters than the Earth is because our friend, the Earth, has something around it that you can't see called an atmosphere. And the atmosphere is a layer of gases that sort of lays over the protective Earth, kind of like our skin does for our body. So you know how sometimes you might get a paper cut or a scrape if you fall off your bike or something like that, but nothing inside of you gets affected, only you have a little scrape on your arm or on your elbow or something? That's kind of similar to the Earth's atmosphere. It's like the protective skin around the Earth, and so when you have asteroids or meteors that come to the Earth, the atmosphere stops it and they'll burn up on the way and they won't be able to come and land on Earth. That doesn't mean that the Earth doesn't have craters. It does, and you can go see them, but there aren't that many of them. One famous example of a crater is in Mexico, and that is the crater that scientists believe is caused by the asteroid that caused the dinosaurs to go extinct. So the moon, and why the moon has so many craters, is because the moon doesn't have any atmosphere. There's no protection around it to stop rocks from crashing into it and making giant holes and making really cool patterns that we can see all the way from Earth. And so we see so many craters on the moon because so many rocks hit it all the time. And there's no way for it to be eroded, which means erased by things like weather, which the Earth has and the moon doesn't. And there's no stopping anything, big or small, from coming into the moon and hitting it. So that's why the moon has craters, and that's why we can do this experiment, because there's nothing stopping the rocks from hitting our Mundo. One thing that we can do to see what might happen with the Earth is that you could stretch a piece of paper over the dough and then drop a rock on it and see, is the crater smaller? Is there even a crater there? And that can show you what would happen if this was the Earth's atmosphere. But otherwise, experiment with everything. Drop big rocks on your Mundo, small rocks on your Mundo, throw a rock into your Mundo to see how fast something can affect the crater, and all different kinds of things. So once you have this dough, you can really do anything you want to ask a question of what happens if such a really large object or a really small object were to hit the moon. And also on your direction sheet, you'll see that we have some pictures of craters too, so you can see what another crater looks like and see how it measures up to one of your craters. And that's all that we have today. So I hope that you enjoy this experiment, have a lot of fun with it, and try all different things to see how to make all the different craters and unique craters that the moon has, and have a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Bye.